So I saw a video about a potential Wicked theme park land at Universal, and it got my creative juices flowing in a way of, you know, I want to be able to have that without having to deal with the problematic of they're a park that has the transphobic Harry Potter stuff front and center. So, it got me thinking about a bunch of stuff. And, I am going to say flat out, as much as I want them to, they're not going to remove the Wizarding World of Harry Potter right now because they just invested a shit ton of money into that stuff at Epic Universe that has the Ministry of Magic that is relatively puke-inducing, I'm just going to say. So, I don't expect what I'm going to say in this video is going to become reality, but I want to talk about it because, it got my creative juices flowing a little bit. So, the most obvious thing that I was thinking about with this is the world of Wicked maps perfectly onto a reskin of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and if you didn't know that the Wizarding World of Harry Potter was there before, you would not know that it was a reskin. If it's done well as a reskin that's literally just a reskin. So here's why I say that. So you've got, first we're shown Munchkin Land, which is fairly separated from the other stuff that you have to go through a bunch of other lands to get there. And then you've got the two lands that are connected from it. And you have and you have Shiz University, which we're talking about a magic school in a castle. Come on. That's pretty blatant as this could be an overlay for, And then it gets better. You have a train that takes you to the Emerald City where you can get where you can do a bunch of shops and stuff like that. Like what they currently have there. So, being able to reskin that train to be the train from Wicked and being able to reskin Hogwarts as Shiz and reskin Diagon Alley as the Emerald City, and then you could have Munchkin Land at Epic Universe. It maps out pretty well. I'm just gonna put that out there. It maps out pretty well. Now, here's the part where I explain it in a way where I'm going to try to make it make sense to them. Because if someone from Universal happens to be watching my video and is still around and is for some reason taking it seriously, as unlikely as all those things may be, I'm going to try to make it make sense to you why this is a good idea and why it's not just some LGBTQ coaster enthusiast that generally goes to parks without seeing commercials and just looks at the roller coaster database. Why you should do this without thinking about someone like me. You ready? Come here. You own the rights to Wicked. Yes, you don't have to pay royalty checks for it. Yeah, it's based off of existing material, but guess what? You're the ones who own the film rights. You don't have to pay royalty checks to both the creators of the work and some other studio that owns the film rights to it, like you're doing for Harry Potter. Of course, the idea of a Wicked Land does have its problems. By the way, if you haven't seen it, spoiler warning, but there are some darker themes in there. The idea of something that I'm just going to say is that would be hard to work around when making a land would be that you have this celebration at the beginning that by the end, you don't feel good about seeing that celebration at the beginning. because like it essentially starts at the end of the story and then it goes back. But like with that celebration that you see at the end of when things are done, it's like you're not feeling very good about that celebration, not at all. And I mean, for Munchkinland to adopt that into a theme park, that celebration is the most adoptable thing into a theme park. So it's like, I guess there are Hunger Games theme parks though. So the idea of having a themed section where you've got a happy, upbeat thing that maybe you shouldn't feel good about. Like, I mean, you've got lands themed to the capital from the Hunger Games around the world, so, like, I mean, maybe that's not as big of a deal as I'm making it out to be, but, like, I mean, it would be something that would irk me a little bit. Or another adoptable element from the theme park perspective is having the wizard do a show, because he's, of course, very showman-y. That's something that's carried over from The Wizard of Oz, and also something that carries over is the man behind the curtain. That you see the man behind the curtain, except in this case, you do see that he's a pretty bad man that lied his way into power and is using the trope of create a common enemy in order to get the people to go against each other, like divide and conquer, rather than to go after you to the point where they realize that you have no power. Like, I mean, that's very much a trope that has become a thing, and that's something that the wizard very much embodies. And like the idea of being like, oh yay, this is so cool, this is so impressive, and then knowing that canonically the guy that you're watching and cheering on is that. I mean, that is also a little irky. Or you go to a university and you grow to find some acceptance, and then as soon as you find some acceptance, you find out that everything that you've worked for, all of your power, is just being used to represent everything that you hate the most, and is being used and harnessed for exactly that. Like, I mean, that's a very deep theme to have to contend with, and I'm not sure if that's something that people necessarily want to have to contend with on their day at a theme park. But, you know, something that I want to contend with a lot less during my day at a theme park, you know what it is? The idea of a work that was created by a transphobic author who has made Nazi crime denial claims and has been known for peddling propaganda to harass a female Olympic athlete because she deemed that individual not to be feminine enough. That's something that I really don't want to have to contend with on my day at a theme park, is a theme park where I have to contend with the fact that the entire park is run by people that are willing to work with that. And, I mean, I know general audiences with Wicked are not thinking about those themes. They're thinking about, oh, two pop stars bring Broadway to Hollywood, and it's something they're all taking their kids to see, and it's something that because there's a bunch of new stuff coming out for it, they would be excited to take their kids to a theme park that's themed to, as opposed to a brand that is dying because its creator is so transphobic, and when they're trying to make a TV show for it, they can't get anything done because actors aren't willing to sign on to the project. You know, in the long-term future, what do you think is the better prospect for you, Universal? What do you think the better prospect is? I think the answer is pretty obvious, but, you know, I'm not a business person. But even so, I think I have laid out why, from a business perspective, Wicked is going to be better than keeping working with someone who has shown herself to be problematic in the parks in the years to come. So I hope somebody listens to this and, well, at the very least, gets rid of J.K. Rowling in the parks, because that's something that we desperately need, is her to be gone.